Well, good morning and welcome to everybody to this session. This is our second session for the year, and it's going to be exciting, I believe. Be very informative, and it's going to be a fire hose session, which means it's going to come fast and furious because we've got 30 minutes. So if you'll really focus and hone in on it, I think it'll be very helpful for you. I just want to put a thanks out again to Portsmouth, Ohio, and Maysville, Kentucky Chambers of Commerce for sponsoring this. The sponsor this, we have Donna here helping us today, letting people in and out of the room, and they also promote this to their chamber members. So we appreciate their partnership, and it's always fun to do things together. Here is the schedule for this year. Shows you some other topics, and all of that can be found at mentordavebeam.com. You can sign up for any of those in advance, and we have a lot of great ones coming up. So we'd love to see all of you come back and appreciate you being here today. I always start with the rules of the game. We're going to do it a very abbreviated version of this because of the amount of content. But I basically present these to you all to say this. If you want to get the most out of this session, and then I'm going to say something else. If you want to get the most out of life, I like these rules. So I'm proposing them to you so that you can win the game. You need to be an owner versus a victim. That means if it's to be, it's up to me. What we want to help you with, what I want to help you with today is to be the best manager and leader you can be. This is a focus on management and leadership, but that can be in personal life as well as in business or in a job. I want you to participate 100%. That means I wouldn't try to multitask this morning. I would put my full focus on this. It's just 30 minutes and really take some notes and just keep engaged the best you can. Come very curious without an I know. If you are a person that likes to personally grow and be coached and improve, you've heard many of these concepts before. That can be your enemy. If you kind of have a feeling all this is nothing new, you're telling your biocomputer to shut down and not learn. So instead, you want to intentionally say, I'm going to be curious this morning. I'm going to fully participate. I'm going to own it, and we'll have some fun. So if you're okay with those rules, let's get going. Here is the question that in the next 30 minutes or so, we want to try to answer. How can you help other people grow and change to reach their potential to help the team fulfill the mission? So you may have some responsibilities, not just for yourself, but for some other people. And you work on a team, or you're a team member and you want to help your peers, or you're a parent and you want to help your children, or you're a spouse and you want to help your husband or wife, or you're a church member and you want to help other members, or you're in a nonprofit and you want the team to come together. All of that would apply to this question. How can I help? How can you help other people grow and change so they can reach their full potential and therefore help the team fulfill its mission? Well, I'm proposing to better help understand how people change and how you can effectively influence that change, a distinction between motivation and inspiration. And so let's start with some definitions. Let's talk first of all about motivation. Simply stated, the manager, the leader of the team, provides rewards and punishments to drive short-term performance and goal achievement. So we have a task we want to get done, and what I do as the manager is I provide a system of rewards and punishments. The key here to this being effective is implementing and managing a system. The system becomes the heavy. The system defines the outcomes for that person's role. There's a way to track performance, and then there's a way to reward that performance. This is a system-based style. The system is what drives it. You just kind of manage it and have the conversations around it, but we're always pointing back to the system. And this motivation model, the manager is the one that's needed to sustain and update the system. And it's a short-term transactional system, and it's very common. And I think it can be effective at a level. And if you're going to do it, there are things that we'll talk about here in a minute that will help it be more effective. But I'm proposing there's a second part or piece of leadership and management that really takes us to even a higher level. And it's one of inspiration. So let's define that. It's where the leader engenders this spark that creates something that happens inside the team member to the where they want to continue to pursue excellence. So that's something that affects this person on the inside. They're not just working for a carrot or afraid of a stick. It does something inside of them where they take some ownership. The key to this way of leading and managing is finding and listening for what deeply touches another person in a way that they want to change. It's very relationship based. In this model or this aspect of leadership, the leader provides vision, something the person can see for the organization, something they can see in themselves that they really haven't looked at closely. And somehow in this conversation and in this interchange, in this relationship, there's a spark created in that person to light a fire in them. And the cool thing about inspiring somebody is it's typically longer term. It's a collaborative process. It's not a big me, the boss, you, the employee. It's a relational thing. Now, it takes some more time and it takes some attention, and there is an upside to downside to focusing on that. But what I do as a coach is I help people do well in both. They're both, we don't want to pit these two against each other. It's just that motivational leadership has limitations, as does inspirational leadership. So we want to compare the two. Let me talk a little more now about motivation. So we're going back to the first one. Again, the key is to manage the system, which includes measurements and rewards and tracking. The drive for this, what drives a team member is this short-term goal achievement. It is a very pragmatic approach. It's a logical approach. It's transactional. The manager has to be good at persuading by appealing to the cause and effect. If you do this, you get this. If you don't do this, you don't get this. If the person behaves well and they work hard and they are recognized when they achieve results and they're rewarded. For this to be effective, the system has to be fair. And you have to have clearly defined goals and clearly communicated instructions on how the employee wins and what rewards that they get for winning. And the defined outcomes have to be worked on together so that it's clear target. Feedback is very helpful along the way, letting people know where they stand in the process. And the motivation and the drive to achieve basically comes from the outside, but it can come from inside, because people who are motivated in that way are very self-satisfied when they achieve and they feel like they accomplished something. So there's that's going on in a motivational model. And the fear of consequences can also be a negative motivational model that a lot of folks use in organizations, the threat of losing your job or being in trouble. Again, there are limitations to that. I'm not going to have a comment on whether it's great or not so great. It's just, this is an awareness for you as you look at your own leadership and managerial style. You're going to learn about yourself and kind of the way you do this now. So I want to shift gears back to inspiration again, talk a little more about that in depth. The key, again, is finding what deeply touches a person so they want to change. And the leader and even other people on the team can provide this spark, this inner fire. The word inspiration, and the derivation of the word is breath. So there's this breath that awakens a person to their potential, and it facilitates this shift of paradigm. And this inspired person now owns the change. It's often a moment of epiphany, that light bulb goes on, and this person starts to believe that they can make a difference. And they start to see how they can make a difference. And they start to understand what their gifts and their talents and their contribution is. Inspiration is a stimulation of positive emotion and desire inside somebody. It's an inside touch that opens up all kinds of possibilities for purpose and meaning and vision. And I'm using a lot of words this morning. One of the offers today is I can just send you all these notes because it's a lot to take in 30 minutes. But now I want to move to a comparison of the two. And I'm going to compare the inspirational style and the motivational style. Again, you can use both. We're not pitting them against each other. Both dynamics can result in positive change, but both approaches, the team performance and change, typically involve a manager and leader in communication. So what I'm proposing to you today is either one requires somebody to be the leader or in charge of this. Motivation almost always needs a manager quite often to help set the goals, to define the rewards and the consequences. And hopefully, if you're in a system or in a company or an organization, they have provided great job descriptions and even clarity on the 3 to 5 things that each person has to do to be successful. That all is under a motivational model, and there's nothing wrong with it. You're here to do a job, and here's the job you need to do. And if you do that job, you keep your job and you're paid. And if you do it better, perhaps you're paid more. Whatever the system is, the system directs that. An inspired person, however, once inspired, can often sustain their own effort. They motivate themselves because the motivation is coming from inside. And the role of the leader here is to kind of spark that inner change, that inner fire, that inner passion. And motivational systems are typically short term. You have to renew them. You know, what's in it for me today? This is what you did for me yesterday. What do I have to do now? Today's goals and rewards are soon going to be achieved or even lost. And in both cases, though, however, there needs to be intervention. A purely motivational manager will face questions like this. I think this kind of displays to you what motivational management is all about. The employee, the team member asks, what are we doing next? How will I be rewarded for my effort and achievement? And if I determine it benefits me, sign me up and I'll go for it. That's a motivational model. Inspiration, how is it different? Well, as the leader, it's who you're being. It's more rigorous for you as a leader, actually. You need to be a consistent positive example. You need to express things like love, encouragement, acceptance, forgiveness, and understanding. It's how you show up as a person and to be effective. You develop skills of creating and communicating big, clear, beautiful pictures and visions of the future. And you have the emotional intelligence to tell whether people are getting it. You acknowledge the impact of team members and you celebrate and you bring energy and momentum to the team. Critical components of inspirational leadership and management are gratitude and core values and personal why and mission. And it's conversations that you're having with these team members and with the team as a whole to inspire these things. The leader serves as a catalyst to stimulate, to foster creative solutions and problem solving, and they become a facilitator and of collaboration because we're going to embrace every member as important in the process. And at the bottom line, for this inspirational process and approach, the leader needs to be the change that they want to inspire in others. In other words, that's that leadership rule of the lid. People will only go as far as you will. And so it's a rigorous challenge. It's a different kind of challenge. Again, not putting down the systematic managerial oversight of things based on the system and requirements and job descriptions. That works. It's just that it's carrot and stick, and it's short term, and it's very wearisome sometimes because if you have a lot of reports, you're keeping you very busy. This inspirational thing, you go a little slower at first, and it takes a little longer. But once that spark ignites that person, they become self-motivated and they become inspired. So to kind of finish up here, we've got about 10 minutes left, believe it or not. I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions. And again, I'll send these to you if you find them intriguing and don't have time to kind of process them all this morning on the meeting. I'd be glad to send them out. But the purpose of these questions, as a coach, I ask questions to help people really think and to engage and to maybe see things from a different perspective. So I just want you to kind of marinate in each of these questions as they apply to yourself. And let's do some self-discovery. So here goes. Here's the first question. On my team, are there clear objective agreements and goals that have been communicated? Think about that. Think about your team. On your team, is there a clear system that's fair for reward and punishment or consequences, if you want to call it that? And are the rewards commensurate with the results? If somebody does really well, is there a bigger reward and recognition for it? Another question. Does our current system include clear, consistent, regular feedback for each team member while they're working toward the mission and the outcome? In other words, is there a culture and practice of clear accountability? Accountability for me is just communication. It's putting things out there where it can be seen. It's making things visible. Now I'm going to ask you some more, little harder questions, but this will be good for you. When people have been with you one-on-one, or perhaps when your team has been with you, how do they leave your presence? Are they typically encouraged and more optimistic? The question is, when you're with people, are you bringing inspiration? Are you bringing light and energy to them? Are you bringing that spark, that breath of life? That's a tough question. But if you'll be honest with it and open to it, you'll see where you need to work on yourself and where you need to be more aware and more present with things. As a manager and a leader, How good am I at providing each of my team members with a clear understanding of the organizational mission? Why does our company, our organization exist? And the vision, where are we headed? And does your company provide that for you? And if you don't have it, where would you go find it? Because this is inspirational grist for the mill. You don't know what you're about, your why, and if you don't know where you're going, it's hard to inspire people. Does each member of my team understand and perceive and feel that their contribution is important and appreciated? That's an inspirational question. And do you know that about each member of your team? If you have that one-to-one conversation, how they see themselves and their contribution, you probably see more potential in them and more contribution than they do. That's typical all the time. How do those team members demonstrate that understanding of their contribution and the mission of the organization and the things they say and in their attitude and in their actions? And then a harder question is, how do you do that? Because inspiration is caught more than taught. Am I utilizing the capacity on my team? Do I intentionally seek to encourage, accept, understand, and forgive each member? How gracious am I with my team members? And then, do I do what I say? Have I got integrity? Can I be trusted? Can my team count on me? That's a critical question. Trust is at the base of all this, and integrity. If you don't do what you say, if you don't follow up on emails, if you don't follow up on phone calls, if you don't stay in touch, sometimes you're there, sometimes you're not. Nobody really is sure when you're going to be around or how you can be dependent on. It's very difficult to be inspirational if people can't trust you or there's no consistency there. So those are some questions. And again, they're not easy questions, but they're challenging questions. And they provide a window or a mirror into where you need to improve, where you might need some coaching or some help from somebody. So here's 3 offers that I'm going to give you to help you grow. The first one is a digital copy of that slide, and the supplementary articles will include the notes from what I've presented. I basically manuscripted this, so I'd be glad to send that to you. Just have to ask for it at the email, davebeam@mentordavebeam.com. Just send me a short note and say, I'd like the slides and the transcript and the articles. Second, this is certainly a broader topic than we can cover in 20 or 30 minutes. There are 300 articles. There are YouTube links, about 30 hours of past events like this. That's all free of charge. And it also, at my website, provides a way for you to sign up for a weekly newsletter. I send out about a 200 or 300 word newsletter every morning, just a little article to kind of keep you going. And third, I love to sit down and have conversations with people. Some of those people become paying clients. Many of them do not. That doesn't matter to me at this level of this late in life. I'm 68 years old. I love what I do, and I love to talk to new people. So if you want to schedule that conversation, at the beginning of that conversation, we'll talk about what you would like to get from the conversation, and that's what we'll focus on. And all you need to do is just email me with day of the week or time of the day that you could do a Zoom call like this one-to-one, and we'll send you back an invitation. And so that's what we're offering today. So again, it was a fire hose. It came at you fast and furious. I hope you pulled some nuggets out of that, or some thoughts out of that, or some to-dos out of that, or some kind of action you're going to take because of that. And we just appreciate you so much being here today. And please encourage people. There will be a link on the website to watch this again if you want to do that. And we appreciate you all. So with that said, we're gonna sign off and see you next time.